All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sunday Night Ragchew. I started solo because I want to introduce uh, a very special guest who's taken the time to come on the channel here and welcome Ray Novak from ICom Radio. Welcome, Ray.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for having me on, Paul and Michael.
I don't like this view. Let me shift the view. There we go.
There you go.
All right. So, yeah,
It's
this
two
is
against
this
one
is
now, right?
is it? You're supporting us.
That's right.
I don't know if you can move that. Can I move that around? Let me look. Let me try to move this. Let me see. There we
It's
go.
fine.
Yeah,
It's fine
There
with
you go.
me.
Now Paul's supporting
What?
us. Oh,
I can. Yeah. All
now
right.
it's moving on.
So, yeah, guys, this is exciting for me. Ray taking the time, I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll get some people on here. Maybe they have some questions or something. But most
Well,
people who come to the
it's
channel know I met you in Tokyo Ham Fair. So,
it's the least I can do. I mean, I walked right by you on the airplane. You called my name at least once. I ignored you. I was thinking, yeah, I'm just hearing voices. And then finally, when I turned around, you're like, Ray, I was standing right behind you. So
Brocam just joined us. Welcome. Yeah, that was funny. And of course, I didn't have this hat on, and I was in a uniform with a tie and everything else, totally different than my field day shirt that I was wearing at the time. But yeah, I mean, of course, we've all seen you on other channels, and some of us have, not I until Tokyo Ham Fair, but some of us have met you at various ham fairs and stuff too. But yeah, that was my first time meeting, and I have to apologize. I might have apologized on the plane. I can't remember, but because I was behind you and I was trying to keep to the side, but when you kind of squatted down or knelt down, I think I got kind of the back part of your head. And
okay.
for me, since I'm losing my hair, I hate people seeing the back of my head, so I have to apologize for that. That's why I sit in the back pew in
Oh,
church, so no one sees the back of my head balding.
yeah, you had to point that out, didn't you?
Someone made a comment, and I can't remember what it was, but it was funny. But I think it might have been on Josh's stream. I can't remember.
Yeah, I've been pulling my hair out. It's all those hams. They just
Yep,
trying to come up
driving you
with the
crazy.
trying to come out with a perfect radio that everybody would love, and we just see tons and tons of positive comments in the chat rooms and on
Hmm.
social media and all that.
Yeah. Well, you definitely, at the ham fair, the one thing I totally missed was the anniversary edition HT. I didn't even think about it till after the fact, and I didn't even go take a look at it and play with it. But of course, the 66 or the 7760 is an amazing radio. And Chris, is there a perfect radio? Um, and the reveal was really cool. I loved how the hype. I loved they did the countdown, and we got. I was kind of loud there. I was trying to get some more of these guys. Japanese are a little more calm than other people, but they got them counting down, and then they dropped that drape, and it was pretty cool to be there for that. So
Yeah, hopefully I didn't jump up right in front of you and block your view.
no, I was to the side of you, but you remember the guy that was next to me? He had like what's that largest iPad or whatever? He was
Oh
this
yeah.
huge iPad. He's like holding it like a steering wheel,
And
filming that.
he wasn't being typical either. He was actually being
Yeah,
aggressive and
yeah, he
moving
was.
that tablet. That,
It was
that
a big
really surprised
announcement,
me.
you know. It was a huge announcement.
Yeah. They had it nice though on the other side. I didn't realize it till after the fact. They had two sides, so there was enough room for everybody to kind of gather around. But Walter and I, my buddy who went with me there, um, that's why we went early because we knew there'd be a lot more people showing up. So it was exciting. And what's funny is I thought, you know what? I had bought tickets to Huntsville. I bought tickets to ZionCon, and I think I bought tickets to Hamcation. I didn't make it to any of those. I couldn't. I
Oh
just
no.
something came up, training, whatever, and then I make it to the Tokyo one, the farthest one of all, which is funny. But I do plan on going to more next year. But it was really really cool to be there for this radio that everyone was hyping up. There's a lot of cool things to see there. They've got the same groups, and what was the like the fox hunters, and they actually race they got their little radios. I don't know if you checked out that booth, but they actually have races, and they chase down these fox hunting things. It's not just, you put it out in like our county, we'll put it out somewhere. Well, I don't.
Yeah, the ARDF. There's actually world
Amateur radio. Yeah.
amateur radio direction finding. They actually
Direction finding,
have
yep.
different contests, including a world championship.
Oh, really? That's the first
Yeah.
time I've seen it in that aspect as far as like fox hunting.
And
So that was pretty cool.
besides the opening of the doors at Hamvention, you get to see hams run.
Hmm.
I mean, because it's all a time contest. It's who can find the different foxes the quickest.
That's cool. I'm gonna have to look into that more. I took a real quick blip of it there in my video, but there was another one that was really cool, and I have yet to figure it out. I might ask JRL, Ken at JRL, maybe he can help me. They had a setup of probably 10 or 15 tables where you could build one of 3 or 4 things, and one was a wooden CW straight key, and it was 500 yen. That's like $3.50. I don't know why I didn't buy the kit. Afterwards, Walter and I both were kicking ourselves. We're like, we've never seen anything like that in the States. We should have bought that thing. It was really cool. They had all sorts of cool little gadgets that you could sit down, very cheap, a couple dollars, and build a kit of something there. I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, you need to come to Huntsville because they did have something very similar.
Oh, really?
In the youth booth, I would say about right after COVID, they changed it all around. Instead of the youth booth being where the hams would drop off their kids and the kids would run around and run amok. The last few years, they've had a robot pit, so you could go and control a few robots, do different tasks with them. But they also have some type of kit building going on.
Yeah, I guess I need to get to one of these bigger ones. I've only been to the DFW ones, and it's the bigger one disappeared, and then the local clubs have built up another one, and it's building. So it gets a little bit bigger each year. So hopefully they'll have something.
Well, Ray,
Yeah,
we
there's-
have a new nickname for you, Rockin' Ray. Sending
Oh,
greetings from
that's one that George and Tommy from Amateur Logic TV gave me a few years back. That's my buddy Greg over there. He does an interesting thing that you guys would like. He does, and I see you've got the POTA logo in one of your screenshots, Paul, but he does Japanese castles on the air.
Oh,
That's
really?
cool.
So that's a thing?
Oh, that is a thing over there. I'll hook you two guys up because Greg Paul flies to Japan quite a bit. He's a flight attendant for one of the major airlines, and have to get you guys together. But Greg also creates a kit with a lithium iron phosphate battery kit and things like that he's donated to the radio scouting organization for the scouts over in Japan.
Oh, that's
He's
cool.
also been very, very helpful in, I think, the World Jamboree a few years back, and does quite a lot of things with the scouts over there.
Okay. Does he have a channel, or is that just his Google? No channel. Okay. I was
No
going to see if I
channel.
could pull him up. All right, Greg. Yep. I'll stay in touch with Japan Ham, and as it cools off, I was telling Ray earlier, I stay in Narita where I can open the window. I can't open the window at the hotel in Tokyo downtown. And then I've got the Coffee and Ham radios in-fed half-wave, and I just throw it out the window. So maybe some point I can QSO with you, Greg. And welcome from Japan.
He gets on a lot of D-Star there in Japan as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there was a lot of cool things. I know you experienced more. I saw your posts of the dinners and different things that you did over in Japan. But what is there something that stands out to you that I don't know if you've been there before or this is multiple times you've been there. What was like your favorite thing about it, whether it was the ham fair or something in Japan?
Well, there used to be an event that was called the Asian Pacific DX Convention. That was a fun event to go to. It was held in Osaka. JA3 USA was the host for the event, but that's a real fun one to do. It included a tour of the ICom factory down in Wakayama.
Cool. How
Um,
far south is that? I don't recognize the name of that city. What's the major city it's by?
Wakayama, Greg will probably know and be able to put in the chat what the
Okay.
prefecture is, but it is south of Osaka.
Oh, okay. So pretty far south there.
Yeah.
We used to fly to Osaka, but we canceled that years ago, unfortunately. I loved Osaka.
No, it's only a couple hours on the bullet train down to Osaka.
That's true. That's true. Hey, welcome, D. Good to see you, bud. So as far as the reveal of the 7760 and the anniversary edition, those were the two main things, right? There wasn't anything else new that I missed coming from ICom.
we did have the 24 gig transverter on display, along with a 10 gig and a 24 gig feed horn. One of the surprising things at the event, we had a couple of hams ask when the 7760 would be available, and the radio was actually in production.
Oh.
So between the Tokyo Ham Fair and now, they've shipped about somewhere between 24 and 27 radios to hams in Japan.
So the official release date when you can purchase it is, do you know that? Do we know when that is, or?
Not yet in the United States, but this is going to be a new release information. We received FCC certification on Friday.
Oh, great!
Wow.
We
heard it here first.
Exactly. I was going to say we have not sent out bulletins to the dealers to let them know.
There you go.
But right here, first people to hear about it.
Very cool.
I told y'all in the title, he's bringing the Sunday Night Ragchew to a whole new level.
Yeah, see the question about 24 gig. Yeah. I don't remember how much power out, but it was very interesting to see 24 gigahertz. And it's the same size transverter as the 10 gig. And it feeds off of the 5.6 RF unit.
Yeah. Well, that's
and
cool.
Are you going afterwards? Is G's question.
What's he saying there, Mike?
Do you need a radiation suit to operate? No.
Oh.
Just don't look into the waveguide. Point it away from you.
It's like a laser, one of those laser things. Just don't point it in your eyes.
Yep.
Well, that's something I have absolutely no experience, microwave, all that kind of stuff. I have no idea. Something I have not even scratched the surface on.
That's just basic RF safety.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't got your neighbor's window or anything like that.
We got a few guys in here that are regulars that have a really high technical knowledge with certain things. So had a couple of them have joined me on the Ragchew too. So guys, if you come up with a question, feel free to ask it. There's no limitations.
Now,
unless it's a personal thing.
Take a look at this. We've got DX here. We've got Japan Ham, so we've got somebody from Japan. And then the G0, so we got somebody from the UK.
And now we got Brazil. Welcome, Manuel, Dole Radio. Very cool. So these will count as QSOs, everybody. Just mark it down UTC time. It's up in the corner there, 144.
So Mike Smith has a question. Is the Black 2370 coming out soon?
I'm not sure yet. We haven't received official notification on it. But it was a very snazzy looking radio.
So Daniel's asking, if I click it, will the 7760 be server that display that you can travel with? Will it have a display that you can travel with? There you
go. Probably not. The data rate between the controller and the RF deck requires a minimum of 1 gigabit.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
So
that,
there's a
that
lot.
kind of answers this next
There's a
question.
lot of data going on between the head and
Yeah.
the body of the radio.
Wow, that's
But it'll be interesting to play around and experiment and see what you can do with it. At that data rate, if you put a private VPN tunnel and you have good internet, how far away can you get with it?
So Scott's got a question. Pretty broad question. I'm about to build a new house and just upgraded to a general ticket. What would you do if you redid your shack from the ground up?
a good
Not
question.
build it in
actually.
the house. That would be the number
That's-
one thing, is do not build it into the house, because if you have your own separate building to have your ham shack, you can have it completely grounded and separate from all the GCFI circuits that will buzz if you're running too much power and you don't have proper grounding. Or they put cheap components in the house. You can stay away from all the dimmer switches and things like that.
That's probably one of the best answers I've ever heard for that question.
Yeah, it's a great question and a great answer.
Will there be any HF radios that will be more budget friendly?
We've got them right now. I mean, everybody's like, Ray, when are we going to see a 7100 next? The thing is, we come out with a 7100 next, it's going to drive the price back up. Right now, that radio is selling under $1,000. It's all bands. You fall into a trap when you say it's an all band, all mode radio. It doesn't do some of the VLF frequencies without doing a modification. It doesn't do all the bands because you've got FT8 and all the different digital modes. It doesn't do those. So it's kind of a tricky answer to say that it's an all band, all mode radio.
Right.
But we're not just going to put a color screen on the radio. We're going to put enhancements in it. And I've seen so many people make the comment, well, just do a 705 with a 100-watt RF deck. 705 selling for $1,250. The 7100 is under $1,000. You put a 100-watt RF deck, you're looking at $1,500 to $2,000. So when you look at what is really economical, I remember one of my first dual band handhelds wasn't an ICom. I couldn't afford ICom, but it was $650 back in the late 80s.
A while ago. Yeah.
It was in the late 80s, and you had to buy your tone encode and decode board. It was an option.
Right. So I've got an odd question here. It's about getting parts. D here burned up a 705 power brick, shorted and cooked the barrel connector. Does ICom have a part number for that? How can we locate part numbers for parts, ICom parts?
Well, one of the things with the amateur radio product, we do have service manuals available that you can get. It will have all the parts that are consumer available to the consumer, and they can order them, and it will have the part numbers for those.
Okay, very good. And Steve is asking, when will the non-anniversary ICom ID52 Plus start shipping to the U.S.?
We're looking at about October, November timeframe.
Would the real quick, Ray, on the parts, would he just go to IComAmerica.com and there's probably a support tab or somewhere?
He could go to his favorite dealer to purchase the service manual.
Oh, okay, all right.
So
if he wanted all of that information, so he could look at the schematics. Now, there will be parts of the radio that are proprietary that are just blacked out on the schematic and the block diagram. But you can also contact our technical support department through IComAmerica.com. Click the support tab and then just enter your question there.
There you go.
So, and
Let
Japan
me ask you real
Ham-
quick before we get another. Doug's explaining where it is. They're south of Osaka. Real quick, Ray, if you don't mind, because this is something I wanted to ask you. Is we talked a little bit before the stream about how you got into ICom and this. What got you into radio? When did you start ham radio?
I started ham radio when I got hired by MFJ right out of college.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
I went to a community college, Northeast Mississippi Community College. They had a real good. I originally went there for computer sciences. I grew up on a farm in Mississippi, and I didn't think like most of the people. I was into tearing things apart, seeing how they worked, and taught myself basic computer programming. So went for computer sciences, was talking to the advisor what kind of job I would get. And the advisor said, well, you'd probably be running the IT department in a insurance company. And I'm like, that's not going to work for me. And the question was, well, what did you want to do? I wanted to write video games. And my advisor told me that there was no
my
money.
21-year-old to say.
There's no money in video games.
No money.
My advisor at that time told me there was no money in video games. Had I lived in Seattle, I'd probably have the same friends I do now that worked at Microsoft, but I probably would have gone down that route.
Yeah.
But ended up going down to the electronics lab and seeing what a computer looked like torn apart. And I'm like, ooh, this is interesting. And next thing I know, I'm getting yelled at because I've already figured out that I could use the oscilloscope and see the different signals that was going on around the microprocessor. And the instructor, what are you doing? I go, I'm just looking around. What are you looking at? I go, I'm looking at this long Zilog thing, and it's very interesting what you guys have got going on. And one thing led to another one, and I ended up changing my majors and going into electronics.
Cool.
And then MFJ was recruiting from that college. A friend of mine had gone down and started working at MFJ. He's now an American Airlines pilot. So
imagine that.
Yeah, he got tired of working on ham radio stuff, and he was helping design some of the product too, but he decided to go fly.
That's exciting. I tell my buddy Walter, I would never want the responsibility of all those passengers, but I think flying would be an amazing thing to learn.
Well, it was funny. I just happened to be getting on one of the flights and looked over to the left, and there he was standing waiting to get on the plane. And I'm like, are you the pilot or are you jump seat? And he was jump seat on that particular one.
Yeah. He's still flying?
Yeah, he is.
Do you know which routes he flies?
Actually,
is he domestic or international, you think?
I'm going to have to take that back. I don't think it is for American.
Yeah. All right.
Because now that I thought about it, he was actually jumping on a plane in Atlanta.
Okay. Maybe Delta. Well, we can. Yeah, if it comes up, let me know. Maybe I fly with him or have flown with him.
One of the other fun events that we do is the Oshkosh Air Show.
Mm-hmm.
And we do a special event station for the Warbirds of America. Cool. And our liaison with Warbirds of America is an active American Airlines pilot. He lives north of Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. I'm looking choppy. Am I going choppy all of a sudden, guys?
No, you look fine. So, guys,
strange.
we have Ray with ICom, and he actually works for several divisions. Ray, I think my brother's plane had an ICom radio in for his VHF on the plane, if I recall.
Okay.
Correctly.
Home built?
I'm sorry?
Was it a home built?
No, it was a Cessna 177, which they made from like 68 to 75. kind of looks like the 172, except it doesn't have the struts going up to the wings. So
Okay.
it's easier for fat people to get in and out, like me. So
Jeez. Yeah, if you see the his RV video from yesterday when he goes in and tests the various size showers in the RV, he
and the
comments on this.
toilets, you got to test the toilets. I mean,
And the
if you can't
toilets.
take care of your business, what's the point of having
Yeah.
a toilet? You know.
That was fun.
Right now, as I was telling you guys before the show, my wife and I moved back to Mississippi, and we're living in our RV right now. And that was one of the things that we looked at. Well, two things that we looked at. One, it had to have a king size bed,
hmm
because I'm told that I hog too much of the bed when I'm just hanging on the edge of the bed. And then a full size shower that you can actually wash your hair and move around in. And some of them, this is about all you can do.
Right. You need to watch my video and feel my pain. So
it seems like
before
most
we
of them are
answer-
too small.
before we answer Jeff's question, Ray, what RV did you end up getting?
I bought a used one. It's a 2010 Winnebago Tour, 42 foot Class A.
Oh, nice diesel pusher, right?
Yes, sir.
Diesel? Yeah.
Yeah, Michael knows his RVs, that's for sure.
So,
And
so
Jeff, yes, somebody sent it to me in social media. I think it was episode 10, and within the very beginning of it, it's Japanese Ham calling out using an IC 9700. It was beautiful to see it.
That's
So-
cool.
so what is the Ultraman series? What is that?
You don't know Ultraman?
Oh man.
I don't know, Michael. You might not be
so-
welcome back.
Are we
Paul,
talking
you're
about?
going to have to take him to Japan with you so he can
I
see
guess.
the Gundams.
So this is anime. That's anime. I'm thinking radio. Never mind.
Oh no. Yeah, it's there's live action, anime, there's all sorts. It's a pretty big deal over
Okay,
there.
I got you now. Now that you said that, it's good.
I'm actually going to go probably in October if I can get to Haneda Airport. I'm going to go to the electric town there in Akihabara and check out the radio stores and stuff and live stream from there. Probably in October.
So what is it?
Your viewers will love that, because it is a ham fest on steroids. I mean, walking through the flea market, but you don't have to worry about are the components blown up, because these guys take pride, and it's very clean and neat, and it's such a great adventure to do that.
I've had quite a few people ask me about that when I'm over there, so I'll do it. It's got to get cooler, guys. It's in the 90s, still humid there. I just can't enjoy it. So let's go to Emil.
Emil, what is the second display over the VFO knob? Emil, cheap old man, also in Mississippi.
Well, there's several. It's one of our multifunction displays. Right below it and right above the tuning knob, there's actually a button to change between them. One of them will show you your occupied bandwidth and the filter settings, but you can also see the movement of the manual notch filters. So I did highlight that in the live stream that I was doing with Josh and Ham Radio Crash Course. So Emil, you can see that, and hopefully before long I'll be on the show with you guys with an actual working unit.
That would be awesome.
I think George will be replacing a 7700 pretty soon once he sees it.
Yeah, I remember making a comment on the brochure, I think it was, where I saw it. I think I saw 3 different screens. It was notch filter, the band. You could choose the band, and then a waterfall, maybe. I think were the 3 screens that I saw.
The voice.
That sound right?
The voice one.
Oh, it's the voice. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay. Let's see, have we missed any questions?
No question. It says a lot of people checking in from all over the place. We got coastal Alabama.
Yeah, guys, welcome. This is great. Again, Ray from ICom. Gladly, or happily, I'll say, we've been had him come into the show. He offered to come in when I met him in Japan and on the airplane coming home. So, and it's funny when you're talking about getting into IT and where you are, because my first computer was a 286. And I remember when it stopped working, I took it apart and basically learned how computers work. So hardware and networking became kind of a normal thing for me. But had I stayed in it, I would have never met you, Ray.
Yeah.
See, so everything happens for a reason. We would not have met on the plane.
That's true. That's true.
Anybody else have any questions for Ray? I mean, we got ICom right here. All the secrets in the room with us right now.
And right now, Paul, I just remembered where I had the Ultraman video. I'm about to email it to you.
Okay. And we could re-announce it. I think I'll make a short out of it maybe tomorrow morning. Ray did announce, you heard it first here earlier, if you were here, the FCC approval was given Friday, correct?
That's correct.
2 days ago.
2 days ago, FCC approval was given. So the 7760 is another step closer to a lot of people's desktops. And it is a beautiful radio, that's for sure. 200 watts. What's that, Ed? Go ahead, Ray.
Oh, we're both clicking the same thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
So we can run 200 watts FTA all day with Ray.
It's well, Ed's taking a shot at me here to laugh it up. The thing is, if you were to talk to the guys at Ameritron and at MFJ, they have so many blown up amplifiers and antenna tuners from hams running much more than the lowest power necessary on FT8. You could talk to the manufacturers of the antennas as well as feed line manufacturers, because high SWR, I mean, a lot of people don't realize you use an antenna tuner, your SWR at the output of that antenna tuner still exists. Mm-hmm. And running FT8 burns up a lot of antennas, a lot of feed line, a lot of amplifiers. So being able to say you can run 200 watts on FT8 all day on the 7760, you can run a RTTY contest, but the FT8 is what's blown up a lot of hardware over the last couple of years.
Digital. I mean, if you start seeing metal slag raining from your tower, you probably need to back off a little bit.
So does that mean that the FT8 haters will finally admit that it is part of ham radio because people are blowing up their systems using it?
I'm not going down that path.
Yeah.
So Chris has a question, and I'm going to amend his question, or he has a statement saying, unfortunately, I don't have any ICom radio, so I don't have any more questions. I've never worked in ICom radio. I actually have IC 7000 myself. So if somebody new to ham radio wants to get an ICom radio, where would you steer them as a good starter radio? Getting their feet wet.
It's
knowing about all the intrinsic menus and what all that means.
The reason why I'm hesitating is I've been in ham radio now for 35 years. And the definition of the first radio has changed over those 35 years. It used to be that the first radio that you would buy would be out of the flea market, would be something old and outdated. Mm-hmm. What hams are looking at now are what's a good value. They want to get into the digital mode. So I remember years ago, you'd buy a radio, then you'd add the filters, you'd add the high stability crystal oscillator. You would then add a sound card adapter to it, all of this stuff. Rather than buying something in the flea market now, hams are looking at what a new radio costs that already has all these features built into it. Mm-hmm. So it really depends on what you're wanting to do. If you're wanting to do HF, or if you want an all-in-one box, the 7100 is a good start. It's got the sound card built into it, but you have to get an automatic antenna tuner. Or you use resonant antennas, or if you're using it mobile, get an antenna like a screwdriver antenna. But what we've seen so many people gravitate for a base station is a 7300.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the very easy to use user interface with the touchscreen. And one of the things that we've done through the complete line of HF radios over the last 15 years is the user interface is very similar. So if you've used the 7300, you upgrade all the way up to our top of the line radio being the 7851. While there's more knobs and controls on the radios, your basic operation is the same. You don't have to go looking for a control because it's been moved to some weird place on the radio because the engineer had to stick it in a certain spot. So that's been one nice thing about the ICom HF engineering team is they use the radios and they have a very nice layout on it.
And that's the one thing I'll say. Anytime I'm on anybody's stream or watching a video and they're talking about the differences, the one thing I always hear is the menu system is the best on ICom radios. And this is people who I assume have tried all types, Kenwood, Yaesu. That's the one thing I hear all the time is ICOM's menu system is the easiest one to use. And from my perspective, I just think it's a beautiful radio. Just the look of it is very beautiful. Its color scheme, the screens are beautiful. Everything's nice on it. It looks nice. And I know Ham Jazz, I don't know if he came in today or not. I think he uses a 7300. And just for whoever was asking that, I see a $400 mail-in rebate right now, or no, an instant rebate off right now off of the 7300. You get that one for under $1,000 right now.
I have seen some questions come in the chat that keep scrolling here.
Yeah. So let me bring up the next question here. From the Aruba Amateur Radio Club, can you share something on the improvements made to the IC 718?
Okay. The 718 was actually one of those radios that you would have to buy crystal filters, high stability crystal oscillator. If you were doing CW, most people want at least a 500 hertz CW filter. You now don't have to go and buy those. You don't have to open up the radio and install them. The very first 718s, you had to solder them in. Over the years, the 718 improved where you could just clip them in and then tighten them down. Now the 718 uses some of the technology out of the 7300 with an FPGA. You can set the radio up with the filtering that you want to have. It also has a high stability crystal oscillator. The one thing that was not added to the radio is the sound card. So you'll still need an external sound card if you're wanting to do FT8 or RTTY. But if you're just using it for voice and Ragchew, it's a great radio. It utilizes also the same microphone. I had one guy yesterday at the W9DXCC convention just go on and on about how impressive the hand mic on our HF radio sound.
So Ben made a statement here, and I'd like to address this one, if you don't mind. So we'd love to get the ICom 5100, the IC 5100, but D-Star is just hard for me to understand. Ben, I think one of your biggest resources to figure out D-Star, Fusion, or whatever system you're working with is join a club that has those assets. They have a wealth of resources to get you on board, and Elmers that are willing to help you with that. I know in Denton County, Dakara has multiple digital systems, and their D-Star system is pretty robust. And there is an Elmer that would love to get you involved with that. But D-Star is just like any other digital system. It just has a learning curve, and once you learn it, you'll be able to take full advantage of it. And Ray, I'll let you comment on that as well.
Well, I was going to shake my head and say, no, there are some very unique things about D-Star that when it was first introduced in 1999, so it's been around. It's the oldest digital voice technology designed specifically for amateur radio. I had older ham come up to me and he made the exact same comment. And one of the things that I told him, I go, you know how we got tones on the analog repeaters? And he's like, yeah. I go, how do you know what tone it is? Well, the first thing I do is grab the repeater directory, and that's not always right. And then he just kept on talking about the different resources to try to find it. He says, I finally end up having to call somebody and ask him. I go, one of the nice things about D-Star, it uses a call sign to identify the repeater. So if you don't have the call sign, all you have to do is kerchunk the repeater. The repeater will automatically program the repeater call sign into your radio. So that's almost like kerchunking an analog repeater and then the repeater programming the radio with the tone. And immediately a light went off and he's like, wow, that is so cool. And at that point I said, once you have the call sign, the rest of it is all controlled by call signs. You've got your call sign that's in your radio, and then you put in the call sign of who you want to talk to. It will automatically route your call to whatever repeater the last user had keyed up on. And then we started talking. He goes, well, I hear some of these different terms like reflectors. And I go, that is third-party development that has enhanced the technology. And that's when he looked at me again and goes, well, I thought D-Star was proprietary ICom. And I'm like, no, we were the first one to introduce it. It's actually a digital protocol by the JARL. ICom and Kenwood built the first products that supported the D-Star technology. And we've had success and we've continued to run with it. Now you can talk to our technical support team. We've got videos on our YouTube channel that we've done with the Georgia D-Star group at Dayton. They do a real nice D-Star 101 course, and you can view that at any time at your leisure on our YouTube channel.
Or join a club, because clubs are wealth of resources. Daniel had a question. Does ICom have a screwdriver antenna, or have they looked at making a screwdriver antenna?
We have looked at making one. There's one made here in the United States that I feel is real good quality, and that is the little Tar Heel. But there are 3, 4, 5 different manufacturers. Depending on the power levels that you're running, there's the Scorpion at the base of it is probably 6 inches in diameter that you can run a KW mobile. But there are quite a few of them in the United States marketplace that are very fine craftsmanship that you could look at doing. It doesn't make sense for us to try to compete with those companies.
So, a lot of people love your ICom interface, and Ed's saying he had a Pro 3 and went to the 7610. I had no problem with the menu, even though it was newer radio. Great design, great job, design crew. And Steve is asking one more time, where is that D-Star video?
If you go to the ICom America YouTube channel, it'll be under our amateur radio videos. And one other thing about the menu system, we've never really put a marketing term to it, but I call it a smart menu system. If you're in single sideband, it's only going to give you the menu settings for single sideband. You don't need to go through a laundry list of 500 different menu items and wonder what mode you use this menu setting. When you go to CW, all your CW key, all of that stuff becomes available to you. Same with the RTTY, FM. When you go to FM, you'll have your tone and things like that. So I commend the engineering staff on what they did with that menu.
Hey, anybody else have any questions for Ray?
Now, one other thing for Ben, he says he's going to save up for the 5100. The 5100's got a very fun feature. You've got the GPS built into it. The Georgia D-Star guys have got a website called dstarinfo.com. You can download both the D-Star repeaters as well as analog repeaters into into a CSV file that you can then import into the radio. They work with, I think it's called the repeater book. The guys from the repeater book, the information is only as accurate as the hams that are running the repeaters update the list. But as you're driving, you have the radio set to DR mode, and then hit scan, and it will sit there and it will change your scan list by the repeaters that are in that local area.
That's a very cool trick, and I've
cool.
seen that in use. Ed says, is ICAH 760 Ray? Is that a multi-band mobile antenna, correct?
That is, it's an antenna that's been discontinued. Trying to remember who the I think Coden now is the manufacturer of that antenna, and it is a military grade screwdriver antenna, but it was a third party manufacturer, so it was not one that we had manufactured. We do have another one. It's not a screwdriver antenna, but again, it is military grade. It's the AH740. It's used a lot down in Australia where they have the huge, the road trains, and they use it a lot in the outback.
You're welcome, Steve. I thought I found the video set he was talking about, but it shouldn't be hard for you to find it in there. They're categorized in playlists, I think.
So
while we're waiting for some more questions.
And Ninja says, hey guys, I'm getting into the hobby. How would I set up a shack in an apartment?
Hey, that's right up Paul's alley. I mean, a hotel room and an apartment are...
That's how I started. It's in an apartment. There's always better ways to do it, though, Ray. What would you suggest?
So say,
I mean,
Paul
easily,
gets staff asking him, what is he doing with wires hanging out the window?
Yeah. When I tried a bamboo telescopic rod to get the antenna out, security came to my door a couple hours later, wondered what I was doing. But yeah, I mean, you get just the size, the ones he was talking about, these smaller radios. If you want to do QRP, you got the 705, doesn't take up much space. And I was one of those who started with the apartment antenna, which not a great antenna. There's other ways, but it depends. If you're on if you're on a balcony, if you've got some space, if you can put a stick in the ground, or if you got a tree to throw a wire up in, I guess. What would you say, Ray? If you went back to an apartment, what would you do?
It really depends on what floor you're on in the apartment.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have a lot of fun doing poto work.
Yeah. Get outside and do it.
Yeah. You've got more things.
Remote ham radio.
There you go.
See, I don't even have an HF set up at my house. I have tons of VHF, UHF stations. I got one in the garage, one in by the front door, and just because that's where a lot of mine is. But I do all my HF portable out in the park. I have antennas all set up out in the field, and I run portable power that way. So that's just how I run HF.
So he put on there that he's on the second floor, and it really, I mean, we just made an assumption that the Twisted Ninja's talking about HF. I mean, you can have a lot of fun with VHF and UHF.
Yep.
But HF wise, I've talked to people that have put up a wire around the inside of the ceiling and used a manual antenna tuner, or used an automatic antenna tuner like the AH4, or the AH730. The AH730 is a little bit larger. Depending on how well you get along with the maintenance group for the apartment building, I've talked to people that have been able to put antennas up on the roof, put a vertical. Or like Paul was mentioning, if you've got a balcony, you could put a ham stick on a balcony.
Ham sticks are really good for that. Yeah, single band, but very cheap setup and pretty good for a compromised antenna.
And it's interesting when you mention one band. I mean, as many hams that I talk to, everybody's got their favorite band that they love to operate on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Myself, I work 20 more than anything.
Yeah, me too.
So you don't have to have a multi-band type antenna system to have a lot of fun.
I've got 4 bands I've got the whips. I've got the ham sticks that make the dipole,
Right.
and a little attachment. And I've got 6, 10, 20, and 40. And you could do that as well if you have enough space, right, for the 2 dipole or the 2 ham sticks. But that's an option as well. And what are the ham sticks? $25 or something? I can't remember.
They're getting more difficult to find now.
Are they?
Well, MFJ used to make them.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I can't tell you how heartbroken I am with the MFJ situation. I wish some company could buy all their products because they had some cool stuff that wasn't normal that other vendors make. So, any advice on a hotspot for D-Star, especially for apartment and office dwellers?
Steve, I'm going to have to point you to a dealer. There are several dealers that they have some D-Star experts. I really cannot talk about any of the third-party stuff that's out there.
Let me say real quick, I just thought of another one. A friend of both Michael and I's in our club. He runs the WinLink Wednesday, John Hill. I remember he initially, I think, had a 10-meter dipole wire, like Ray was saying, up on the kind of at the ceiling, and he was running 10-meter out of the inside. I just thought about that.
He was
did fairly well.
Just wire and stuck it up with some plastic clips or something. Yeah.
Start with a ham stick or start with a wire.
Well, when I lived south of you guys, I couldn't put anything in the attic. I know some people that have put a dipole in the attic, but in Texas you have that reflective, that heat reflective material for insulation, so that couldn't help.
Yeah, I don't have it. That's why I never will get it, because all of my VHF, UHF stuff is in the attic. So, yeah, Steve, if you're talking HF, I'd go with that. Like he was saying about the wire or ham sticks, I'd maybe look into those.
Yeah. So Ariella met you at Huntsville, and you were very nice to her. So she was saving up for a 7760.
Oh, thank you.
Ed Kozar, back when I got licensed, the touch lamps was popular. I turned on and off everyone's touch lamp in the apartment complex. So I did portable before it was cool. They're still popular. Cool. I was at Costco. I was like, oh, this is a nice light. And then I figured out it was a touch lamp. I'm like, nope. Broke ham. So before my current antenna, I had a speaker wire out of my window to a 9-to-1 Bayloon to a tuner. Worked around the world with it. So you could be resourceful there.
Oh yeah.
You know the other thing with radio, just going. I don't know why my mind is still going on Twisted Ninja's comment. Is again, I've in 11 years or whatever it's 12 years, I've probably gone through 50 antennas. Some I've made, some I've bought. So, and I look back and I realize like this is the one I want. I like this one and this one now, and these work great. If I could go back knowing what I know, I could save money. But then you miss out on that process. You made that adventure, right, of learning, making an antenna. My first one was a fan dipole that I tried to get in the attic. and it's just fun to make it. So check out some YouTube videos, find one of those things. Maybe a wire might be the cheapest. If not, try a ham stick and just see what works best for you. It's a process, and it's kind of an adventure.
I'm laughing because you said you have gone through about 30 antennas. I just quickly did an inventory, and
I can't imagine.
oh man, I've just in my RV, I've got two different hex beams.
Oh my
I've
gosh.
got a pouch with at least 10 different dipole style antennas, whether it's an off center fed or an off center fed for 160, an off center fed for 80, 40 meter dipole, 20 meter dipole. and that's not including the Yagis that are in storage right now. It becomes an addiction. You can't have too many antennas.
Just in the backpack in the hotel, I've got 3. I've got Reliance and Coffee Ham Radio's end feds, and then I got one I made. Just sits in my little backpack with my radio in the hotel. It's fun though. That's part of it. I think that's the one thing I probably enjoyed the most is the antenna craft, making antennas, dealing with antennas, tuning antennas. And it's just fun. That's what I've liked anyway.
So Ed Cuzzer was saying
question.
the 7760 head unit, is that run by 12 volts DC, and is there a battery option?
I haven't had a chance to touch one of the radios yet. It was already set up at the Tokyo Ham Fair when we got it, and to be completely honest, I got to see it for the first time the exact same time Paul did.
Actually, you were 2 feet in front of me, so if you go by the speed of light, you got it. Just
we had the whole commentary with your phone there. You were just on the other side of the road barrier.
If it is 12 volt DC, we're not going to have a battery option for it. There's so many different batteries out there. I mean, it's just like on the 705. We did the handheld battery pack, but I know I've got 4 lithium iron phosphate batteries that are 4 milliamp hour that I run 10 watts with the radio on. There's so many different battery options out there that you'd use one of the coaxial connectors on. So there's no way we would want to try to get into that competitive marketplace.
I do think that's one of the best things ICom's done is the battery that's universal. What an idea, right? You'd think it would be so simple, but to be able to use, but it's a great idea. I think it's awesome what ICom did with that.
And Chris, I feel your pain. Getting to the hole's just too small for me to fit.
Well, I don't do attic anymore. It's too hot in Texas.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
It is.
So pretty soon, hopefully we'll cool off and I can get out and do some more antenna reviews. I got 4 antennas I haven't even reviewed because it's been too hot. I'm not like Mike and those others that can go out and do wedding as they're doing these antenna reviews in Texas. I just can't, guys. I'm sorry. My blood's from Idaho.
No.
He's a fair weather man.
Yeah.
So anybody else have any questions? We're coming up on an hour now.
Make sure. But yeah, it's been really cool. Of course, I knew Ray, and then I saw him there. I figured he would be there. I think he said that on maybe Josh's stream. I can't remember. So I figured I'd see him. It was very cool to meet Ray there and in person because that was my first Hamfest, I guess, really, other than Dallas. But Dallas's Hamfest was never big enough to really catch much attention, I guess.
Well, and then one time it was. There used to be
I guess before, yeah, when it was over by what's the college over there, Michael? The one that over by 75 when it was Highway 75
over in Plano.
Is that Plano?
It's at the Plano Convention Center for a while.
Yeah,
and then we went to Irving Convention Center and then came back to Plano, and then COVID hit.
Yeah,
and, the organization that was running Hamcom had to pay a lot of money to reserve the place, and
Yeah.
we weren't getting any refunds for it, so they end up folding because of that.
Yeah.
But there is some grassroots attempts to rebuild it. We have a group in Denton that has been starting a ham expo every year, and we're trying to build it year over year. We're actually having it in a dying mall right now, so
Yeah.
and it's got a good response. I mean,
But it's building.
It's starting to build up, yes, and hopefully we'll get like
they got to
ham
find
copies
something
maybe.
bigger. Yeah, they need to find a bigger space. They've already acknowledged that, so they're looking. So hopefully we'll have something close again. But I think next year I'm just gonna schedule it and I'm gonna do it. I've got to at least get to Dayton and Huntsville, and even though ICom is small, I'd like to go. I'd like to go check that out too. I got a buddy down there.
I think you'd enjoy Orlando as well.
Yeah, is that the one? Is that Hamcation? Is that what that?
Yes.
Hamcation. Yeah.
Daniel's asking.
I'll try to get to them as many as I can.
Daniel's asking about an amp for the IC 705.
I've seen some out there, but nothing on a drawing board from us.
Yeah, I've seen some of the non-ICom stuff out there.
And has there been a single band D-Star VHF or UHF mobile ever been a consideration by ICom?
We've actually had a D-Star mobile. It was VHF, the 2200. You could add D-Star to it. And then we also had the ID31A, which was a handheld, which was UHF only. It's very interesting because there are no 2-meter repeaters in Japan. They're all UHF.
Yeah.
And Twisted Ninja has a question about a non-ICom product, and I'm about 4 feet from one, the X30 antenna, and it is a good antenna. It works indoors, outdoors. It's actually a deployment antenna that I use. So, great antenna.
And it's shorter. It's a little bit shorter than some of the longer ones. So, what I've done with mine is I've gotten the little elbow for satellite dishes, the little mount, gone in my attic, got it up as high as I can, and it's mounted up at the apex of my attic. So that one will serve you well, Twisted Ninja.
Yeah, I have it in a separate room than I run my radio. That's what I'm using right now, and I've actually run Skywarn nets using that, and it's been a great antenna for that. So,
Ray, let me ask you real quick on that topic of the tuner. ICom does have that a wire tuner, right? Some kind of random wire. I can't remember what it's called.
The previous unit you can find them used is the AH4. It would be 6 meters through 40.
Yeah.
And then now the current model is the AH730. It is larger, but it will cover from 6 meters all the way to 160.
Yeah. I think I've seen it. Maybe it was on the ICom website set up with the 705 and just a wire. So.
Yep. I know at the Tokyo Ham Fair, I saw a couple of POTA-style antennas from Diamond that utilized our AH730 at the base with a tripod, counterpoise wire for whatever bands you want to operate. And it would be in that configuration, the antenna tuner actually changes the residence of the antenna because it is part of the antenna system itself, instead of just matching to make the radio happy that it sees 50 ohms.
Yeah, just okay, interesting. 730. 6, is it the 6 through 160? Is that AH730?
AH730, yes.
Okay, wow, that's cool. All right. 150 watts for those who want to do FT8.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
I can honestly say I have yet to do FT8, so I'm proud of that.
I'll blame the Copy and Ham Radios guys for their FT8 poker. Guys probably squeezing out 400, 500, 600 watts on that.
Oh my gosh.
Ray, did you find an ICom watch in your trunk? Did you lose the watch?
No, it was also shown at the Tokyo Ham Fair, the 60th
Oh, that's right.
anniversary
The watch.
ICom watch by Seiko. I will find one.
That's
I
funny.
will get
Yeah,
one of those.
I took a glimpse at it as I walked by when I should have stopped and looked at the anniversary edition HT and the watch, but I
It's
looked at
just
them.
a
Wow, that
watch
looks
that says
interesting.
ICOM on it, and that's it, or
It's
No,
it's actually a very nice
it's a
watch
beautiful
by
watch.
Seiko.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll have to look that up.
yeah, you have to Google it because I didn't put it on my. I might have kind of breezed by it as I went around the booth, but I should have focused on it. I just didn't realize what I was looking at, I think.
If that was the first time there's so much stuff at
Yeah.
the Tokyo Ham Fair. I mean, what I love about it is any type of operation you can think of, there's a club for.
hmm
Hmm.
And I mean, one of them was the 6 meter AM club,
Oh, wow.
but there was at least 10 guys in that booth talking about operating 6 meters
Interesting.
AM.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't remember that one. I have to look at my video again to see if I went by it.
Yeah, that's definitely a ham fair that I want to go to because I mean, just some off the wall or obscure things, but it was so cool because they're doing everything we're doing in America, and then you got a guy taking ginseng bottles, making antennas
Yeah.
out of them.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to look at that, Ray? That guy's Norio.
No, yeah,
Yeah, he's
we
using
talked about
those.
that one on the plane.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was. I've been saving every one I buy. I've got like 5 cans now. I buy 2 or 3 on every layover, and I'm bringing them all home and just giving them out to whoever wants to play with it.
But it was so cool that they had that. And the other thing that I loved about that video was they had a project room where each hour they had a different project, and everybody's in there on the tables working on it.
Mhm.
So that was
Yep.
really cool. That
They had the ladies of Ham Radio in Japan. They were on the air, I think, when I went by them.
Oh
Right.
I
yeah.
think it was called the ladies of Ham Radio. I can't remember exactly how it was. I'm
I'm trying
forgetting
to,
already.
and they actually had a pop star there as well.
Oh, really?
Masako.
Okay.
Yeah. Masako is
Yeah.
very active in ham radio.
Oh, cool. Yeah, there was 4 people on the air, or at least talking with each other, and at least one person there was on the air. I wonder if she was, if they were there when I went by. There was people talking right there. But,
Yeah, there's a publication they publish it in English as well. It's called Ham Life.
okay. I've thought about bringing some of my CQ magazines and seeing if some local hams want them. Let's see, CQ.
so Japan Ham. No, Paul lives in Little Elm. He's a Texan, but he flies over there often.
Yeah, it was Doug, right? Greg, sorry, Greg. I lived there about 35 or 6 years ago, and I lived in Niigata, I lived in Chiba, and I lived in Takasaki. I lived there for 2 years, learned the language, came back, was in college for law enforcement, and then I got the job at American Airlines because I speak Japanese. So I worked the Japanese routes just because of my Japanese speaking ability, not because of my dashing personality. Maybe in the first few years, but after so many years of dealing with people, like I couldn't be in sales. There's a certain point when you just get tired of dealing with people when it's, but anyway, I'll leave that for another time. It's getting late, guys, and I don't want to keep Ray up too much longer. He's on East Coast time, and I didn't want to keep him too late tonight. So,
Well, Ray, we definitely appreciate you having you on tonight. It's been a real pleasure.
yeah, thanks, Ray. Greg, I keep saying Doug. Greg's talking about that 6 meter AM net Friday nights. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'll look up the 6 meter group and see what I can find on that.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll take a look at that. That's interesting. There's probably a lot of stuff over there that I haven't, gotten into that I could probably get on some nets and stuff. I tried activating Prince Shiba Park in Tokyo, and it was a complete failure. I couldn't get the audio drive. I was just going to do FT8 with the Chameleon what's that called? Just their little vertical impasse. And couldn't get the audio to work. Something was messed up with the rig blaster thing, and it was a failure. But I met a guy there who worked for Motorola for 40 years. And he, by the time we finished, and we've emailed a couple times, he says, I've encouraged him to get his ham radio license again. So hopefully he's going to get back in the hobby.
Oh, very good. I did share in the studio chat the link to the Ham Life magazine.
Oh, great. Thanks. And is that something that, is that a digital only thing now, or is that something through JARL that people get, like the CQ, or do they have an actual magazine?
For the girls, and Greg just put it in there, the GB girls. And that, you're right, Greg, it is FB News, not Ham Life.
FB News. Let me look here. I'll
Oh,
keep
sorry.
Ham Life here as well.
Wrong place. There we go.
FB News. Yeah, there's a lot to it, and I plan on doing more in Japan. I just sent JARL my annual fee and getting my license renewed. It expires the end of this month, so FB News, that's Farm Bureau. I'll look that up later. Yeah, we're in an hour and 10 minutes. So if there's no other questions, guys, we're going to end the live stream with a big thank you to Ray, and taking the time out for one of the, like I like to call, a small potato in the ham YouTube world. Thanks everyone for your questions and for joining. The guys, all you guys from all the other countries, I appreciate it. I don't know how you found me, but it's very cool that you found us here. And if you're watching this video after the fact, leave some comments or whatever you want, and we'll try to get back to you on those. So, Ray, do you have anything else you want to let anyone know, or any kind of little tidbit they can nibble on, like maybe not all the information?
Not at this point. It was a blast to be on here with you and Michael.
I appreciate it.
We enjoyed it.
And hopefully I'll see you next month. So,
alrighty.
Thanks again, everybody. Have a good evening. 73, we're going to play the outro. Take care, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.